HiRevz Media is sponsored by Born to Ride Motorcycle Magazine. Check out borntoride.com.
Alright guys, today's the day. Got the car ready, got all the other pieces ready to kind of go on. So now we're going to start unbolting this intake. Got 12 bolts down in here. Pull those out, pull the water neck off, get all that separated, and then we'll be ready to set this thing down, get it on there. See the throttle cable, just kind of got it, just kind of working on there. This is kind of how it's going to pull though. So anyways, ready to get to it. All right guys, so we are changing the valve covers finally. These are the Edelbrock Performer heads, and these are pretty impressive looking. They've got this big like windage tray on them and everything. So we're afraid, I mean, as tall as these are, that those other valve covers might be on there because they're so tall. But look how good that looks. Luckily these actually fit, and that's gonna look slick. So much better, so much better. All right guys, so everything is pulled out of the intake now, and all the bolts are out, ready to start prying this thing up and then get them switched out. All right guys, so this is water temp sensor for the fan. This thing will click the fan on and off for me. So I'm not gonna wire that in yet, but at some point in time, right now the fan is just on a switch, it's on. So I'm gonna wire this through a relay so it'll control the fan. So there's another boss here in the water jacket through here. So that's 3/8 MPT, this plug is, so I made that work there. This one is 1/8 MPT, which will be back for our gauge, which looks like this. So we just gotta bump that one up just a little bit farther and get it tapped in there. All right guys, the intake is all good to go. Jackson's tearing up the floor and ready to throw the intake on now. So everything's off, and you see all the goodies down in here, and everything's clean now. So we're gonna put a little bit of RTV on each side of the water jackets, which is technically not needed, but I still like doing it. A little bit on each side. Put those down, that kind of holds them in place. Put the cork pieces down, and then we're ready to set this intake down. Start seeing more about what this thing's gonna look like. So this is the stuff we've got here. It's the Right Stuff 90-minute gasket maker. Again, I'll have links to all the stuff we use is gonna be in the description. Should be good here. We'll get everything set in place and show you what that looks like. All right guys, the gaskets are in place. Like I said, put a little bit of RTV on there. Got RTV on the cork, and then a globule in each corner. So, and then we stuck a little bit behind here just to get it to stick down and stay in place. Now we're ready for an intake. Here, baby. I got it going already. All right, here we go. Keep her lined up. That went pretty good. It's pretty much lined up right there. Yep, I think that's it. Oh man, that looks good, doesn't it?
Wow. That's crazy.
That looks sick, doesn't it? It's a really long process getting all this set up and, you know, figuring out everything before we get it set down, but man, that makes up for it, don't it?
Yeah, that looks good.
Golly, that looks good. Let's get some bolts in.
Let's do it.
All right, guys, for the intake bolts, we've got these nice stainless bolts for that kit that we've got. So we're doing all stainless of what we're changing out. And it's better to put a little bit of RTV on these, because on a 350, you're gonna have an opening into the head that goes back into the valley. and oil can actually come back up through the bolts. So it's better just to seal them with a little RTV as you put them in. All right, guys, there's the intake bolted up. All the intake bolts are tight now. So now we're going to throw the distributor in, get that lined up, check a few things, and start bolting other stuff up. All right, guys, we got the distributor in, working on a few things, getting everything kind of lined up. And let's see what we did with Jackson. We got our camper over here, and I just got Boss Baby playing. Got the AC going on in here. There he is, just chilling. You can see the Boss Baby. Yeah, there it is. He's doing amazing. Might be kind of nice to use every time. All right, guys. It's coming together. It's looking pretty good. The distributor's in, valve covers are on. The water neck hooked back up. It's looking really good. Now we're gonna throw our wires on here and then run our vacuum block and all that good stuff. And then, what else we got? Hook up fuel lines, distributor, power from the coil, all that good stuff. So a few more things, but it is coming together and that looks super good. All right, guys, get the wires ran, going up. Got the vacuum block on, got a couple hoses on it already. I think that looks pretty good. Just gotta run a couple more vacuum lines, run our fuel lines, get the coil installed, and put some water in it. It'll be time to fill it, to crank her up. All right, guys. Got everything mostly done. Just got the fuel lines hooked up now. They're going up, wrapping around. That took a little while to do. Looks pretty good. Got a little fuel pressure regulator down here. Everything's hooked up to the pump. It's looking pretty good. The only thing we don't have is the coil mount. We're still kind of working on it. We got a really big coil going in it, so we're trying to grind it out so it'll fit in there. So we're still kind of messing with that. But we got our wires here to hook up the power to it and hook up the distributor. So we'll hook that up when we get it going. But we're trying to really make sure we got everything covered. Pretty sure we do. I'm pretty sure everything's hooked up. But we're gonna go through it and run the starter a little bit, get the fuel pumped up and all the bowls, make sure that's good, and then we'll hook up the coil, see if we can make it actually run. All right, guys, so went and hooked up our vacuum line. What we did is hook vacuum advance here and here, and then that ties over to our distributor. And I tied two of them together just so we have plenty of vacuum. They kind of level themselves out. Because this is 8 of them on the Fiat, we just did it to 1. It was fine. And then our main manifold vacuum comes up, goes to the brake booster, and that one goes to the transmission. And now we also remembered that it needs water. So we're about to put that in and fire it up. I think we're good. Didn't see any fuel leaks, and this thing's looking pretty dang killer. All right, go ahead and fire it up. See if it'll do anything. All right. So we can give her a little more fuel here. All right. Might have flooded it. Let's see here. All right, they're open. Try it now. That or the timing's 180 out. I was working on that. All right, guys, we figured out that we had a slight water leak, tightened up on some bolts. Very back of the intake. I really hope the intake doesn't have to come back off after all this work. But we might have did something wrong in the gaskets, but hopefully it'll warm up and seal, but we think we got it tighter. Moved around the timing a little bit, and now I think we're ready to do something. So it kind of bumped a little bit like it's actually gonna fire, so go ahead and hit it again. One more time. It's not happy, but it is running per se. Go ahead. Ooh, not happy at all. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Timing is definitely still off. So we're gonna have to adjust the timing again. So I think we need to move them one spot around and then we'll be running. Well, it's a little better. Still gotta tune it some more, synchronize it some more, but it runs, it's working. And finish out the throttle cable and mount the coil and a few other things, but doing pretty good. Sounds like a GT40 race car. Oh yeah. Man, it just looks so good too. Hope you are enjoying this as much as I am. 'Cause I am loving it. It just looks so wicked. So like I said, you gotta get them synchronized a little closer, get them tuned a little more. And then obviously it's never gonna hit the same as it was. So IDF's clean up the idle a ton because you've got essentially a carburetor per cylinder. They're just sharing a fuel bowl, but everything's individually tuned, idle, mids, full, everything for each individual cylinder. So it actually smooths up the idle a bunch, and it might actually smooth it up more than this. You got to set the time and get the carburetor set a little bit more. Probably have to put bigger idle jets in here and do a couple of little things, but it's at least a running car. I mean, I could probably drive it like this with a throttle cable, but finish up a few more things and be good to go. God, that looks so good. I love this look right there. That just looks freaking awesome. There you go, guys. Give you one more here.